So recently, Bad Bunny decided to drop his new album called El Último Tour del Mundo. It's really amazing the popularity that Bad Bunny has had during this year. I mean, he's been very popular, the previous years, but I think this year has been, I guess you could say, his prime. This guy has been breaking records. This has been an enormous year for Bad Bunny, this is record shattering at this point, and it's very impressive, as an artist like Bad Bunny, a Latin star to becoming a very big international level. And even though I didn't like Jhay Cortez, I still respect it, for how much of a critical success it had, being loved by the critics and being loved by the audience. I gotta give props to that. Then it's already made, I think, its way to the Latin Grammys or into the Grammys as well as Best Latin Album, something very crazy. I thought that album was fine, I don't think it's his best album. I still think that, Por Siempre, or X100 Pre, as whatever you like to call it, I think it's his strongest album. It's his debut album. So a few months later, after that album, he decided to drop an album, which are really B-sides from Jhay Cortez. It wasn't bad, I liked it, definitely. It was like 10 tracks long, something like that, so I guess the pacing was much faster since Jhay Cortez was like 22 or 20 tracks, something long. It was obviously more full length, and these were just B-sides, but for B-sides, they're pretty decent and great, I'm not gonna lie. I wish that was implemented in Jhay Cortez. I would definitely like the album more if those songs were implemented there. I knew there was gonna be a third album because he confirmed there's gonna be a third album, which is crazy. As I was saying, dropping 3 albums in 1 year. This is really his victory lap at this point. Dropping a full-length album and dropping some B-sides and dropping this. And I gotta give him respect, it's really been an amazing year for Bad Bunny. So the teaser for this album, Dakiti, whatever you wanna call it, featuring Jhay Cortez, I felt like it was a pretty good track, I liked it. It had this mysterious psychedelic sound that Jhay Cortez brought, with its melodies. It reminded me a bit more of Bichillal, that little flute, or I guess you could say, or that melody that sounds like kind of reverse and a little bit chopped. But unfortunately, the structure for this song, I felt that was a bit lacking in the song structure-wise, at least with the drums or with the beat in general. Even though I like the song, but I think if there was something added more, like a little bit, I don't know, differentiate with the drums or something. So fast forward to this record, I really expected it was gonna be, I guess, some C-side sort of, because as I was saying, Dakiti sounded something straight from Jhay Cortez, borrowing that sound, borrowing that aesthetic, which to be honest, I didn't mind, borrowing the elements from it, because I like the sound. Sonically, it sounded pretty cool. I like the melodies. And really, this album is very different. It's very different from what I was expecting. And really, Dakiti and this track listing, this is a bit odd and a bit weird. It's oddly placed, because just the sound in general sounds absolutely nothing from what Dakiti brought, and it isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I just felt it was like an odd placement. The first track in here, called El Mundo Mío, sees Bad Bunny just claiming the throne, saying the world is mine. I'm taking over the Billboard charts, I'm dominating the charts, I'm dominating the world, I'm the big boss, I'm the leader. It gave me this vibe of like a king. It gave me this vibe of like he's ruling everything, and I really like that. I appreciate him. And I know it's gonna sound egotistical for some people. Initially when I was listening to it, I was a bit mixed. When I started to hear the lyrics and just really start to realize and think, I think he deserves this spot, because he's really been the dominator in the Billboard charts and has really become the biggest Latin superstar of this year, if not the previous years as well. And for the second track, I was a little bit disappointed. MUDASTE is a bit underwritten, I guess you could say. It's around 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and I don't have a problem with short songs, but I felt this song didn't necessarily expand, for what it needed to be. And just structure-wise, it felt something he's already done in the past. While the second track was a little bit underwhelming, I think the third track picks up its pace with COBRÉ. It has this hard-hitting trap instrumental, heavy bass, heavy drums, and I like the performance that Bad Bunny brings here. It seems playful, it seems energetic. The second half really shines a lot in this track, and I like that he's going like in a very deep voice. It sounds like he's gonna like kidnap you in an alley or something. It sounds very unique, but as I was saying, the second half really shines a lot, the performance. This album also features some sort of rock / trap fusion, which to be honest, I really enjoyed that fusion. An example of this is Maldita Pobreza, in which he sings about not having enough money to, I guess, satisfy his girlfriend, you know, buying a Ferrari, or I guess buying things to make his girlfriend happy, as he sings and rants through it. And what I like about this track is that the drums came out of nowhere, and I was expecting our trap song or reggaeton song, but just how smoothly produced this track is, it's surprising. It feels like some Latin rock influences here, like some early 2000s sort of Latin rock, and I really love it. The guitars are fantastic in this track, the drums as well, and just the switch to trap is very good. It was very unexpected, and I wouldn't think Bad Bunny would do this so well. Another song that follows this emo punk rock type of formula is DESEO lo mejor. It's sort of like this breakup song, and it has this very good vocal delivery. It's one of the best vocal deliveries that Bad Bunny lays really in his career. But unfortunately, I think the song wears a little bit thin compared to the rest of the emo, you know, punk rock songs, which I think are a bit better than this one. Now, Droga is another emo rock type of trap song as well, you know, which I gotta say I like the songwriting more in this one. It feels more Juice WRLD inspired. It sounds something Juice WRLD would write, you know. It has that, you know, you're taking control of me sort of aspect, but even though you're bad, I need more of you, you know, sort of a thing. You know, as I was saying, I like the songwriting more. It feels more, it feels heavily influenced by, you know, Juice WRLD, that type of songwriting, I guess you could say. But as I was saying, the performance in this track is pretty cool. I liked it. You know, the vocal delivery is strong in this one. Now, even though I did like this album for expressing itself in more of a unique sound, and it doesn't sound something like a copycat of Ya Me La Gana, and it develops its own sound, I gotta say there are quite a handful of songs that feel underwritten. For example, Sorry Papi, the vaporwave type of instrumental, the retrowave 80s instrumental. And even though I liked the instrumental, I felt that the song was a little bit underwritten. I felt that it should have been a bit longer, and the auto-tune in Bad Bunny's voice is a little bit too processed, as well as the features. I think that the performance a little bit flat, and the auto-tune takes a little bit too much of their voices, that it starts to sound a bit robotic. 120 is another song that I felt was underwritten. I mean, we really get to hear like 1 minute and 40 seconds of the actual song. The rest are like this little transition, I guess you could say. And I wish this song was longer and expanded more into like an actual full song, because the idea really is there. You know, it follows that emo punk rock, as I was saying earlier. It doesn't really expand itself to become a song that could be bigger or bolder than what it could be. Booker T is easily one of the best songs in his entire record. You know, it has like, it's one of the biggest highlights of this entire record. It's very fun to listen to. His performance in here, it's just very great. I like how he uses his voice in here. It sounds very aggressive, you know, matching the trap instrumental. And it has some bits in here that it's pretty funny. Not gonna lie, I like how clever he uses lyrics. I like the little pauses that it does, and it plays the sample of like some kids walking or something. Like Joey Tossi is sort of like a rock / trap fusion. It's very rebellious, you know, saying that I dress how I want to dress, I express what I want to express. You know, I don't need your opinion, I guess, to survive. I do whatever I want to do, which I like this sort of, you know, point of view he's coming from, you know, of loving yourself, caring yourself. I guess you could say self-acceptance. La Noche de Anoche featuring ROSALÍA, which really, when I saw ROSALÍA in this track list, I was sort of hyped because she's been delivering some pretty good songs in this year. Personally, for me, this song was just fine. The structure-wise, I think it was, you know, it felt complete. It didn't really feel that incomplete as many songs in this album unfortunately feel like. ROSALÍA's verse wasn't necessarily bad, but just personally for me, I didn't necessarily love this. I didn't necessarily love this song as compared to the other songs in this record. I can see people liking this as a bop because it's another reggaeton type of track, very sensual as a lot of chill reggaeton tracks go. TRELLAS sees Bad Bunny diving more in that acoustic realm with a nice acoustic guitar playing in the background. You know, very dreamy lyrics, you know, very dreamy lyrics, you know, a dreamy atmosphere. I don't necessarily mind it. His performance, in my opinion, is pretty decent. I kind of appreciate what he's doing here. This sort of acoustic balladry, which I've seen a lot throughout this year, you know, by the likes of Sucker Mommy and a lot of other indie pop artists, which to be honest, I gotta give him credit. It's pretty interesting and pretty unique compared to a lot of reggaetoneros. You know, since they're doing a lot of generic rap and stuff like that, I gotta give him credit. He's doing something different that not a lot of people are doing. Ante que se acabe features very like EDM trap inspired type of beat, which I don't necessarily mind, but I feel that there's a lack of songwriting in here. There isn't necessarily a hook that really catch me in here. It's one of the, I guess, my least favorite songs during this entire project. The lack of songwriting was definitely showed in this song. And to wrap up this album, it wraps up with Cantares de Navidad by the legendary trio Vegabajeño, which I would say is a kind of an odd way to wrap up this album, but I guess it's sort of like his way of saying Merry Christmas, I guess you could say. It's a 3-minute and 20-second song. It's like literally the entire song of them. I don't know why he put the entire song. I can understand like a little 1 minute like snippet of it, but the entire song seems a little bit odd, to be honest. Overall, this album isn't necessarily bad. Some of these songs sort of feel underwritten. It felt it didn't really get to its full potential. And I will say, some of the ideas in here are pretty good. You know, they're pretty interesting. And they developed into like an actual full song where they're like re-edited. I could see liking it more. Is it an improvement from his previous full-length album? I don't think so, really. It's sort of like a step back, I guess you could say. I know that I didn't necessarily give Jhay a positive rating. I gave it like sort of an average rating, but I've appreciated a little bit more nowadays. I guess I could see what was the hype surrounding this album. I've appreciated it a bit more. Definitely I would say that these songs feel more completely written, better structured than most of these songs in this album, unfortunately. Lots of these tracks are a little bit lackluster. They lack some texture, they lack a little bit of songwriting. I could definitely see why he kept some songs in the vaults and released it now, you know, because due to the length of his full-length album, it will just be a little bit too long. And already with the reggaeton slash trap division, I could see why he didn't want to include sort of a punk rock aesthetic in that, because it will just be very enormous. But yeah, what would I give this record? I would give this record a very light 6. It's like a 6, like a 6.0, like almost like a strong 5, to be honest. I didn't necessarily hate this record, but I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of it. I felt that Bad Bunny could have, I guess, made these songs a bit bolder, made them better. You know, most of these tracks in here, because I felt there was like some tracks that were a bit lackluster and didn't evolve into what it could have become. You know, the idea was there, but the execution wasn't necessarily as big as it could have been. So yeah, what do you guys think about this album? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, consider subscribing, and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss an upload from me. And yeah, see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.